Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise.
I have a real soft spot for evil.
Blood flying everywhere.
So good.
I'm a big boy who doesn't get scared.
Out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Welcome, Psychotic Club members, to a brand new meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club. Tonight we gather to discuss 2000's American Psycho. My name is Bryan. I'm joined by my beautiful co-occupants of the pod, Ross.
Oh, hey.
And Sam.
Sup?
Thanks for being here. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. I did my
yeah,
I threw me off a little bit. No, I'm sorry. I just came back from returning some videotapes, and I was doing my pre-show routine of exfoliating and using lotions and stuff on my face. So I'm still a little in that.
A lot of beard oil.
Do any of you exfoliate? Do either of you actually exfoliate or do any sort
either
of...
of you actually exfoliate?
I didn't mean it to come out that way, but I meant
No.
like, do you have a skincare routine of sorts or anything like that?
I mean, I lotion up sometimes. I like to use
whenever I
lotion.
go to a hotel, I definitely lotion up.
Absolutely. I actually do, but I'm also a living chia pet, so beard oil and other things are monumental into not feeling itchy all the time for me.
Well, let's discuss our skincare routines when we get to the appropriate moment.
That makes sense.
And until then, we like to keep it spoiler free up top, and we will let you know when those spoilers do indeed drop. And last but certainly not least, we got to go ahead and thank our patron, our beautiful coven of witches. Your sacrifice gives us life, and we thank your beautiful souls. Those beautiful coven members, they get all sorts of bonus episodes over there. Our little mini episodes. We do all sorts of non-horror movie episodes.
That's
We
true.
have the Chuddle Files. That's where Sam and I are working our way through the X-Files, and that's kind of been dropping out over there as well. And we got the Chuddle Battle, all sorts of good stuff. Check it out if you want some more content like that. And then if you want to actually influence the show and
what?
kind of like move the meter on what movies get picked and all sorts of good stuff like that, patrons got that pull.
They got that.
369. All them tiers is fine. Join up. We love you guys.
You
All
won't
right.
regret it.
That was the Patreon spiel for you. So thank you all for listening to that, because we're going to go ahead and say that all our club members are present and accounted for. Let's open up that beautiful goo book and officially begin tonight's meeting.
Give me that goo. Oh, yeah.
First off, you know what we got to do, especially to celebrate this movie.
Let's
do some lines.
We got log lines and
Yeah.
taglines coming at you. Beautiful faces. I'm saying beautiful a lot tonight because I'm just, I guess, feeling the beauty of Patrick Bateman's
the
body
world.
just irradiating.
Yeah.
Or the world.
I mean, he is
A wealthy
sculpted.
New York City investment banking executive, Patrick Bateman, hides his alternate psychopathic ego from his coworkers and friends as he delves deeper into his violent, hedonistic fantasies.
Yeah, works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job, IMDb.
I like
Actually,
that one.
pretty
I
on
think,
the nose.
Pretty well. It
Yeah.
kind of narrowed my focus in on, I was like, yeah, that's exactly, that works really well. Taglines, I grabbed the best three that I liked. There was a few other ones
Okay.
that matched almost these identically, but fuck 'em.
Sure.
No introduction necessary. I think that was kind of
All right.
weak. I think
Yeah.
my mask of sanity is about to slip.
Better.
Better. And killer looks. I like that one the best, to be honest. Just in
I did as
terms
well.
of those options. The other ones were just variations thereof. One of
Says
them
a
was
lot
obviously
more
like...
About what it's about. And it's
mhm.
only 2 words.
Yeah, exactly. It plays on both things. He's a killer. He looks good. Great.
It's all about how people look and,
Looks fit.
Exactly.
Looking great.
perception.
All the masks we all wear.
Mm-hmm. We all
Who
wear
made this one?
masks, metaphorically speaking.
Directed and screenplay by Mary Herron, and the screenplay is also by Guinevere Turner, with writing credits for the novel to Bret Easton Ellis.
Shout
Have
out.
either of you read the book? that we mentioned?
I'm not sure. You think I remember? I've read a few Bret Easton Ellis books. I know I've read more than one, but I can only think of one, which is Less Than Zero, which is not this one.
I have not. I have not read American Psycho.
Either have I. So we'll talk about some of the comparisons when we get to IMDb behind the scenes stuff.
You got some
has a
Rules
little
of
bit about that.
Attraction in there anywhere.
Definitely have that movie.
Well, so Rules of Attraction is also based on a book by Bret Easton Ellis and Jason. What the fucking Dawson? What's the guy's name?
Bateman, right?
Yeah, his character is brothers with Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, that's right.
He calls him at one point in the movie. He's like, "Hey, Patrick."
Yeah. Oh, okay. I have that, and this came up recently too, and I see it now up in my collection of DVDs. Like, yeah, I just came upon that movie recently again. I was like, that'd be an interesting one to revisit, but that's for another time. Rules of Attraction.
God damn it! Sorry,
James Vanderbeek. I see what you're trying to say. Like his real name. I get it. It was Vanderbeek
the whole time.
He's an emotional vampire.
I know the movie. Again, haven't read the book. So
I don't think I read that one.
Cast for this one, obviously, we got Christian Bale as our not our titular character, as our main character, Patrick Bateman. Justin Theroux as Timothy Bryce. Joss Lucas as Craig McDermott. Bill Sage, David Van Patten. Chloe Sevigny as Jean. Reese Witherspoon. Savini. Samantha Mathis, Matt Ross, Jared Leto, Willem Dafoe. We got all sorts of
big cast.
It's a lot.
Big cast.
Big cast.
I forgot. It's been so long since I visited this movie, which I think was I didn't mind. I'm glad I spent some time away from it.
Because there was this whole we'll get there when we get to our history.
Beautiful. So having said that, it was for the purpose of I forgot these people were in it. I forgot Jared Leto.
I had no idea Jared
Paul
Leto.
Allen.
Yeah, I probably didn't know who he was when I saw this.
That would make sense.
Maybe I had seen
My So-Called Life.
Depressing movie. No.
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
The heroin movie.
There we go.
Me doing heroin.
Yes.
And Willem Dafoe. I forgot about Willem.
I had no idea. Yeah. So again,
exactly.
But you would have thought I would have seen Spider-Man by then. Whatever.
Anyway. Great cast. I like who we have and what they're doing in here. So with that, let's go here.
It's time for the Gorometer. Fatality.
So how we like to break our Gorometer down right here. It's a scale of 1 to 10. We take a consistency score of 1 to 5, an intensity score of 1 to 5, add those together. That gives us our overall score. So consistency, what are you guys thinking on that one?
I had consistency. I had it at a 3.5. I'm almost gearing it towards a 4 just because like when it goes, it starts really like the violence continuously throughout this movie. But intensity is kind of a weird one because it's like a lot of the intensity stuff, like there is blood, but you don't really see a whole lot of gore
pretty much
up
just
until
blood,
up until the second apartment, and then you kind of have you have a lot of aftermath stuff, but you don't actually have like in the midst of doing it, I guess would be the best way of putting that.
Tim,
so like I don't know.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
I was not going to put the frequency that high. It's making me question it because I was like maybe at a 2.5.
I can see that. I agree with that.
And then the intensity, honest, I was maybe at like a 3 because a 2.5 seems a little too low because I feel like it is mostly just blood and blood spray and some aftermath. It's not intense, but it's not super bad either, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know, 3.5. I'll say 3.5. What does that give?
3.5 and a 2.5?
Yeah, 6.
6.
That's fine. Works for me.
Yeah, I think I paid my number like a 6.5.
Yeah.
So we're on the same.
Yeah.
What have you, Brad guy?
I think the 6 works.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Who is the horror forward?
4 questions coming for you. What kind of subgenre does this belong to? How are you going to watch it? Is it for beginners? And should you know anything before going in? Subgenres. Slasher could be.
Yeah. I mean,
on some scale.
Slasher.
Of it. Dark comedy.
Absolutely. Dark comedy.
Yeah.
Satirical.
Satire, for sure.
Satire. Psychological.
Yes. Whatever the term when you're like watching someone's psychology deteriorate, I feel like, like falling down, or I haven't seen the Joker, but it seems like the Joker is like that.
Would do that.
Or like whatever the name for that subgenre.
Like
that is a subgenre.
A breakdown movie.
Yeah.
A breakdown movie.
Yeah. Watching someone's mental state just
I guess
slowly,
The Shining,
I was literally thinking that as
too.
well. Perfect. How do you think this one is good to watch?
It depends.
For me personally, I think the first viewing by yourself or with film heads. And then I think the more that you watch this movie, I think that you can start I could see this being like a party movie if everybody has seen it 5 or 6 times. You know what I mean? Because like I've been in party situations that are exactly like that. But I think the first viewing, just because it just gets so crazy, probably would be either by yourself or with like a close-knit group of friends.
Agree, Sam? Yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard for me to think of what a first viewing of this would be like now. You know what I mean? But I do think in order to enjoy it sort of in a rambunctious way, you do need to know the tone. So you probably do need to have seen it at least once first to get an idea of what it is.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it will lend itself better to paying attention to it for the first time, so a little bit quieter environment. Or if you could, if you're with people, that you're in a theater, so it can be like a more like zoned in, so there's less distraction type of thing.
Oh yeah,
I think would work best in. And then like Ross kind of mentioned, you could, if everyone's at a party, had seen it, then you could watch it together. Is this for beginners?
I have been struggling with that question for like 2 days because I think so. I think it is, but it's right on that razor line of like, I feel like you could get away with it, but because of how, oh my God, just how surreal it kind of gets at a certain point, that might be a turnoff if you're not used to, I don't know.
I'll say this. I saw it around the time it came out, and I did not get it. And I don't think I really got it till I watched it, revisit it again. Because when I was young, I did not get, I probably got some of the humor, but not, it's a totally different experience now.
Totally.
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one. When I first watched it, I can't even remember if I definitely liked it and enjoyed it. And I understood, I always thought it was funny. I think I got the humor, but I got, I think, a lot more and different aspects to it now going into it. And I've watched it a little bit differently. But
absolutely,
is it for beginners? That's a little bit tough because it is pretty strong subject matter. He is a brutal murderer.
I would say probably not. This is probably like level 2.
Oh, and the reason I say that is because especially at the time, well, the book in particular, but this movie had a lot of backlash to it and a lot of like, this is horrific, like gruesome, like, smut type of shit or whatever, you know what I mean? And
yes,
the book is a lot more brutal and descriptive of all of these murders and like a lot of other things that he does. I can talk about a little bit when we get into the movie. So I'd say level 2. I agree with you, Sam, there.
Yeah.
like right after.
I can definitely agree with that. Yeah, this is not like a journeyman. You're going to be a journeyman horror watcher while doing this. Like entry level might be a little much.
Because then I think, then you'll probably have fun with it. And should you know anything before going into it?
Maybe that it's a dark comedy, black comedy, whatever you want to call that.
Right. Yeah, or like dark comedy or satirical in the fact of, I think maybe being some kind of warning label about that.
Just to get an idea of the tone you're going into, you know, you don't need to like know anything about the story or plot really, but I think it would best help your enjoyment to have some idea of the tone.
Yeah, the ride. Yeah. The ride you just bought a ticket for. Bap, 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 bap.
Got anything to say, Mr. Harbinger of Doom? Sir?
No.
Yeah, I mean, he's brutal. He's a brutal murderer. He's brutal towards women in particular. He's misogynistic.
A lot of violence towards
kills animals.
There's he kills animals. There's animal death. It's off screen, but it happens. It's off screen, but on screen.
A lot of the death is off screen.
Totally. Yeah. There's sexual violence in this. There is like
not slight. There's like homophobic slurs. There's slight racial stuff, xenophobia, but it's all built into the characters and like how they are like these shitty business characters of the 80s.
End of the 80s Wall Street characters. If you can think of what that stereotype is, that's what that is. Yeah.
But it's definitely made fun of. Like that's the purpose of what they're trying to say about these people, I think, anyways.
Oh, 100%.
Or one of the many things being said within it. But otherwise, I didn't have any other huge things in my notes, I don't think. Great. Spoiler zone. Let's go ahead and jump over and do our IMDb behind the scenes first. I got about 7 or so. They're somewhere a little bit wordy up top, and then I kind of built the rest in as a normal, but I took a shit ton out. There's a lot on IMDb, like as there would be, as you expect. So if you want to get into the weeds of it all, there's a lot of background information about this movie and all sorts of good stuff there. So I just tried to grab a few little things that piqued my interest here. Looking for a way to create the character of Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale stumbled onto a Tom Cruise appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman. According to co-writer and director Mary Herron, Bale saw in Cruise this very intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes. Bale subsequently based the character of Bateman on that. Interestingly, Tom Cruise is actually featured in the novel. He lives in the same apartment complex as Bateman, who meets him in an elevator and gets the name of cocktail wrong, calling it bartender. So there's something about the book. Tom Cruise is in the book, apparently.
Yeah.
Now I'm not a huge fan of deepfakes, but if someone could deepfake the entire film of American Psycho with Tom Cruise as Patrick Bateman would be fucking wild.
Honestly,
you could probably get
Tom
some key
Cruise
scenes.
Totally could have pulled it off.
Oh, easily.
100%.
I mean, like, do you think he could have got the body? I don't know. Like, he would have had to commit. Yeah. I don't remember like young Tom Cruise. I know he was always like, he
could have
good,
if
but
he could,
like,
doing
the bulk. I've never seen him like hit the bulk aspect.
Well, he's so small they probably try and like not show his whole body off too much.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Tom Cruise version of this would be real weird. During the shooting of the film, Christian Bale spoke in an American accent, offset at all times. At the wrap party, when he began to speak in his native British accent, many of the crew thought he was speaking that way as an accent for another film. They had thought he was an American through the entire shoot. You know,
wow,
that'd be fun. Yeah, I mean,
that's amazing.
It's 2000.
He's got a very
it's young,
concentrated accent.
I'm like, did he talk like with that like same
politician
Bateman voice between the cuts, or did he just?
Right?
Wow, yeah.
I mean, he's been in plenty of other films now as an American, I think, right? Like, would he like? I don't know if he drops the Bateman-ness and tries to talk in American regular voice.
No, that'd be tough.
Hey, man, he's an actor. He's pretty.
He is
in it.
He's a committed one, you know, eating turkeys and losing weight and all that.
Eating turkey.
The single biggest cost on the film was purchasing the rights to the various songs used throughout. Because obviously the soundtrack is stacked.
Absolutely worth it.
I can't even imagine what the cost for just Whitney Houston was.
I don't have
no
an
idea
answer.
how much any of these things cost.
No. I mean, like, especially when, like, could you imagine just having like Whitney Houston's like PR team kind of being like, so what are you going to use it for?
She wanted.
It's gonna be
she didn't want it to be used with this. She hated it.
Oh, I can only imagine. Like just a glancing over. You want it in what now? During what scene? Oh yeah, no.
Christian Bale insisted on getting Bret Easton Ellis's approval for his portrayal before filming and arranged a meeting. Bale showed up to the meeting dressed and groomed as Bateman, even introducing himself as Patrick Bateman. After 10 minutes, Easton Ellis begged Bale to stop because his hands were shaking and he couldn't take it anymore. Easton Ellis said this was the single creepiest moment of his life.
I bet.
Yeah, that'd be
like
terrifying.
this character you wrote in a book 7 years later is like
shows up.
Yeah, and he's a psychopath.
Oh God.
Like, okay, when do you stop? Is this one of those methods? It's like, good
method what?
Good thing Jared Leto didn't get this role.
Oh God, Jared Leto was there too, hanging out in his role as Paul Allen.
Yeah,
Probably.
Paul Allen. He's like, that's right, Marcus.
His voice is so funny. It's so ridiculous.
They're all so, yeah.
All of them are, oh God. The film had various problems with designer labels during productions. Cerruti agreed to allow Christian Bale to wear their clothes, but not when the character was killing anyone. Rolex agreed that anyone in the film could wear their watches except Bateman. And apparently there's a famous line from the book where he says, "Don't touch the Rolex," which is changed to "Don't touch the watch"
Don't touch the
when he
watch.
says it. Yeah. And Perry Ellis provided underwear at the last minute after Calvin Klein pulled out of the project.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for the chainsaw scene? Or not chainsaw scene, because he's butt naked. But probably the workout scenes.
Yeah. There's a few other, there's a, I think they're both
he's
workout
definitely
scenes.
in underwear at some point.
Yeah. And another one refused to allow the use of one of their overnight bags to be used, so Jean-Paul Gaultier was used instead.
Where did you get that overnight
I love
bag?
it. The vast majority of the dialogue in the movie is taken word for word from the novel by Bret Easton Ellis. I can't verify any legitimacy to that.
So the only reason why I even think I may have read it, aside from, I feel like that's why I would have read anything of him in the first place and then went on to read Less Than Zero, but is all the business card stuff. That in particular, I remember reading. Nothing
interesting.
else. But
Very
business
interesting.
cards.
Maybe you just read that scene. You're like, I really like that business card scene. I want to read what that was like in the original. Just looked up that specific spot.
It would have been like 20 years ago now, if not a little longer. So
certainly
could be why I don't remember too.
And to gain his buffed up appearance in the film, Christian Bale would spend several hours in a gym and then 3 hours a day with an on-set trainer. Apparently he was eating like a shit ton of like chicken breasts as well. He said at the end of this, he's like, I'm fucking sick and tired of eating chicken breasts, like boiled chicken breasts, or whatever. Like the amount of shit he had to do to get that body, it was insane. I mean, it fucking shows. It's insane. It's fucking wild.
It is.
One day, I would like one day like that.
Right.
Just to experience what that
would be like.
What is that like? Like just
I can do 1,000 now.
Right? To just be able to do 1,000 crunches when I'm pissed off or something.
Dude, he's gone through so many insane body metamorphosis stuff. Like what was the Machinist?
The Machinist.
The Machinist, he was just
and then when he did Batman, he bulked up again.
Yeah, but that was a different bulk. That was like beef,
like thick boy bulk.
Yeah. This one was more like cut boy bulk.
Yeah, and then he's
Adonis
put on weight, put on fat for characters. Like it's not good for your body to do all that.
No, it is not. But he's fucking doing it. So don't do it, Christian Bale. You don't need to do it. You don't need to do it. But he was young at the time. I didn't get how old he was at the time of shooting, but his character is 27.
27.
Like, damn.
I know. I've wildly have not seen it since I was older than his character.
Precisely.
And I was much younger than his character last time I saw it.
When I was watching it the first time and he says, I'm 27, I was like, that was never in my head. No.
Sure he's not at least 32.
Right,
yeah.
like 30 something.
Like, for real, bro?
Come on now. All right. So this takes us over to, well, I think we'll just call our history segment at this point. This was picked by all of us for our popular movie.
Yes.
I could not tell you it's been so long that I couldn't tell you my first experience. And because I watched it so much, or it was in my rotation or whatever, a bunch early on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It melts all together. But it was high on the list of things, especially at that time too. It was so kind of different from a lot of stuff that you were seeing.
This is 2000,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So it's like
It was a cool movie to like.
Nailed
edgy.
it.
It's in that
Yeah.
same circle of like Boondock Saints and I don't know, Scarface. Yeah,
A real college ass movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
college ass
Yes.
movie.
everybody had the poster. Well, it's also really interesting because it made me think of Fresh in the way of like, I mean, obviously because Fresh probably took a lot from this, but it's such a splatterfest, but with such pristine backdrops. And then like, it's just the juxtaposition of this like hoity-toity New York society and then having just like insane violence tied into it, which I think was like a huge allure when I like first time seeing it. That was the craziest thing for me. Cause it was like by 2000, I had seen like normal slashers, you know what I mean? Where it's always some homicidal maniac, like, you know, like Maniac is like a dude who lives in a mannequin fucking warehouse with scalps. You know what I mean? Not a guy on Wall Street. Like this was such a really weird, great interpretation, but just so different from the other slashers that had come before it.
I remember hearing about it before I had seen it and being like,
sure,
like, oh, it's crazy. You want to like,
it had this kind of aura or whatever mystique around it.
Yes.
I said I'd credit a lot of the, well, obviously the direction and the look and all that stuff to the director, Mary Herron, and what she did with it. I think probably made it stand out because I've read other little bits of trivia of other people, because this movie got picked up, dropped, all this sort of stuff. Other people attached this point, that point. Bale was on and she was on at one point. Then they both got dropped for like a long ass time. And then they got picked back. It was a wild thing, apparently. But there's all these weird different visions of it. And I feel like this portrayed it very well to tell what the story was. And I there was like somebody like had this like weird idea of it just being in black and white and like this other fucking storytelling aspect to it. I was like, it just sounded grittier in the way that it didn't need to be. And this is like this nice sheen, clean look over the grittiness underneath.
Well, it has that whole exactly the aesthetic of like, if it looks nice, it doesn't really matter what's underneath thing going on, which
absolutely
just adds to what the movie's about.
And speaking of that movie,
themes.
Let's go ahead and get into it. It starts us right off with some credits. Looks like it's little blood drops going on, but it turns out to be a plate
opening
of fancy food. I love it too. You know, it has to be inspired by this, right?
Huh.
Like Dexter, the opening to Dexter, I got big vibes from. So like they had to like this. I feel like had to like
vibe
with
it. Kind
that.
of goes with the music too. The way the food
goes with the music. It's like this kind of. It's meant to play on that juxtaposition of murder, but it's food, like, but it's not type of thing. I thought it is a fun, beautiful opening. It turns into, you know, all these businessmen, exec types having breakfast, talking like a bunch of, I said asshole, like high roller type dudes.
Yes.
All sorts of nonsense going on there.
What does he say? He's like they don't have a good bathroom to do coke in. It's like the first thing he says when he walks back.
Yeah.
It's real fucking great, like asshole type shit. So we don't really get a sense of anyone at this point. Next, we're going to a club and we see our main businessman, Patrick, we learn. He orders a couple of drinks. He pulls out some like drink tickets or something, but those don't work anymore.
We don't use these anymore.
Yeah, it's a cash only bar now. He's like, okay, no problem. He starts smiling, pulling out, gives her some cash, and then she like turns around. He's like, fucking bitch, I want to like stab you and play with your blood. And it's like, whoa.
Yes. It is, dude, all of the club scenes where he openly will talk to people about fucked up shit and they're just missing, like not hearing it
throughout the entire movie.
It's so, it's so good. It's so fucking good. Also,
I like starts off like immediately with this. Yeah.
I like how also just to quickly rewind. I like how pompous and the idea of is when they get the check, we're like, oh, that's not bad, 500 something, and every single one of them have the exact same American Express fucking platinum card that they just throw down. Where it's like, oh, okay, now we know what kind of ecosystem we're in
right away. I mean, you see that and then you look at all of them. They're almost all identical when we get to various scenes laying on hairstyles, suits, glasses. I believe Patrick Bateman, Paul Allen, and I think the guy Paul Allen mistakes him for all have literally the same type of glasses.
Same glasses.
Marcus. Yeah.
Which is such a funny ongoing joke is that everybody mistakes everyone for someone else because they all fucking look the same. You know, I also love the fact, and I did not catch this until watching this time around. You legitimately don't see a single fucking one of these assholes actually working.
Yep.
Like,
I was going to mention that. Yeah, when we first get to one of the points, but yeah, they're never working. Like there's at one point Patrick's just sitting in there. I forget what song he's listening to, but he's just sitting there listening to music, not doing anything. And like it's when the detective comes in. It's at like 10:30 in the morning.
Isn't it Lady? Is it like Lady in Red or something like
Lady
that?
In Red. Yeah, that is what it is.
But I see that's another thing too, and obviously we're gonna get to it. But it's like I didn't also realize that the guy who owns fucking Pearson Pierce is like his dad. So there's this whole level of nepotism that's also involved in this as well.
I'm not sure how much because she says it's like, doesn't your dad? He's like he's high up.
Doesn't your dad practically own the place? You could do whatever the fuck you wanted to.
But in everyone there is a vice president. They all have, all their cards say vice president on it.
Do they? I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
So we have this whole bar scene. Seems like no problem. He pays this, does this little thing, cuts to morning. And this is when we get our background of Patrick morning routine thing. This is probably something, if you haven't seen this movie, you may have heard or seen parts of this stuff here. This is a scene where he's walking around in his underwear.
Eyes are puffy, puts on a ice mask.
Yeah, while he's doing his crunches. You can do 1,000.
I can do 1,000 now. It's stuff like that wasn't funny to me before.
Okay,
I think.
Sure. I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, and even just when he tells her he'll stab at her and play in her blood, like it's just so out of nowhere and ridiculous. Like,
well, the whole movie plays it straight. You know what I mean? Like, I think
it takes it like seriously.
Exactly. Like it's almost, and I think. I may have texted this in the group chat while we're like, to me, this is almost a National Lampoon movie because like there are a huge satirical things that are going on with this and there's tons of humor throughout it, but everyone absolutely plays it straight the entire time. Right. So it's like, I almost feel like you have to watch this a few times to really get the amount of humor that is actually in this movie. Because like my first watch, I was like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking...
This is crazy and disturbing.
This is... Yeah, exactly.
Sure. I mean, that's what you like kind of can focus in on is his disturbing nature. You're looking at him being, talking about his skincare routine, slowly peeling the mask off. And he's talking about in that moment, not really being like human, like person. He's just a shell. And
that was, I think that one, honestly, the dialogue
was chilling
really
in
is
those moments too, though, because when you really like pull into
like, there's an idea of Patrick Bateman and I was like, what? And then like him talking about himself outside of himself is fucking horrifying, especially like as he devolves more into it. Cause you're just like, oh, because it's like the level of narcissism that is going on. You wouldn't expect him to be that disassociated with himself, I guess would be the best way of putting that. But you realize it's all a mask. Like the physical appearance, all this other things are just expectations that he's
It's all
picking up in the culture to fit in. He literally just he's a chameleon and he's trying to fit in as best as possible.
It's
and this
kind of like Dexter, except with still out any ability to like pretend to be a friendly human, and only just picks up on visual cues of like status symbols.
Well, Dexter raised by businessmen, essentially. Like
Sure.
if he
Yes.
wasn't raised with some other moral compass direction type of thing. Apparently during production, Christian Bale followed the morning routine that his character Patrick Bateman describes as well. So doing all his scrubs and skincare and stuff. It shows.
What he put on Texas Chainsaw Massacre to do girls. Yeah.
And I read also that during this shower scene, apparently it didn't sound like it was a closed set that day. It sounded like it was a very open set, and a lot of people were hanging around to watch soapy sudsy buns, man hams. Yeah, of course.
Those are some man hams.
Side note,
like
Willem Dafoe actually took the shower first. That's why everybody was there, and then that's what actually got Christian to get in. He goes, dude, I prepped the shower for you. I got a big crowd. Just go in there, do your thing.
Those are probably the best man hams we've seen since doing this pod. And I don't know if we'll see better.
Crack a diamond on those man hams.
Ping.
The level, like, holy shit. Like, this is...
Drop a quarter, make it go ping. Like
Adonis. I mean, like, this is literally like
the tango
almost
ping.
Make the thing go pang. No, but it's like, I think there's so many surreal things about this movie.
Ain't nothing surreal about that, but
no, this is.
Are you kidding me?
But it's just like the idea
like,
of like,
where am I?
But it's like also this insanely, for most people, unattainable physique is like this guy's normal. So you're just watching this, you're like, oh my God, this guy, he looks like a fucking marble statue.
Adonis.
Yes. Yeah. When you see him, like, there's just so many shots of that too, of just like the camera just going up and down his body when he's in the tanning bed at one point, whenever that is too. Like you see just fucking like how are their muscles like that? How does that like exist?
Totally.
How do you work that out?
Do you think his workout regimen was as crazy as it was because he knew the physical scenes, like the nude scenes that he would be in and the character that's portrayed? So he's like, I have to literally push this to the physical limits of like being toned and being able to like work out.
I think he did it because Patrick Bateman would be at that peak and like crank every little bit out of everything. And he's that type of actor.
I believe if that is what the character is in the book as described in any sort of aspect to it, I think, he's going to play onto that pretty damn hard.
100%.
Bam. Walking on sunshine. We get a cut to like fucking awesome. Wonderful, like
with perfect headphones.
Beautiful song to play as he's fucking like stern face walking in. I noticed at one point too, this goes to everyone not knowing who anyone is. Someone in there calls him like some other name of, he doesn't hear it as he's walking through. Like, oh, hey Harrison, great tan. And he just like keeps on going. Like,
and it's got to be such a weird, fucked up thing for this character too, because every time he's mistaken for someone else, the character also brings up Patrick Bateman being just a piece of shit. Like, just a fucking like this little fucking pussy guy. Ass, like, a fucking sniveling piece of shit. Whereas he's just like, oh god,
I just love everything. Him being in the room and just shit getting under his skin is so fun. It's so fun. So he's walking into work. He talks to his secretary, Jean, about the day, setting up, canceling appointments, some mild morning misogyny as well. As he tells her, don't wear what you're wearing anymore. Like, I don't like that.
Wear a dress.
She's
like, you don't like this? He's like, come on, you're better than that. Prettier than that.
And high heels. I want high heels.
I like high heels. Then to start his day, he watches some Jeopardy. That's immediately what he does. He turns that on. So great. And then we get Simply Irresistible, and Patrick is on his date with his fiance.
I'm trying to listen to the new Robert Palmer with my bitch of a fiance. Like,
It's ridiculously funny. He's in the car. They're in a taxi together in the back seat as she's just going on talking about, we'll do this. Maybe it's like wedding ideas. And he has headphones in. And then he takes him and he's, what the hell are you talking about? She's basically she wants to set a date. He's like, I can't, I can't take off work. This is when he learned that his, your dad practically runs the place or whatever.
And he hates it there anyway.
Right.
Or something.
She's like, you don't even like the job. Why don't you quit? It's because I want to fit in. That's what he says. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that need to fit in.
One of the truest things he says. And that reminds me, I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole music thing, him being into music, do you think that is a genuine thing, or is that something he does to pretend to be human?
I think it's something. I think he genuinely appeals to music, but what he is saying,
the way he talks
about it is so automated.
Yeah, it's like a
I
robot.
feel like I think it's part of his ritual. I think
Yes.
he likes it. I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's like it was something to pertain to be human, and I think he does have. I don't know if he'd call it a like, but I think he does like it, and I think he particularly likes genuine... it because it adds to his ritual. I feel like that's a big part of the killing is especially the kills that he likes, maybe because there's obviously his passion. Quick, I need to get one out kill,
sure.
But I don't know.
But he also likes to play things. But it's this weird. He always likes being.
He listens to music.
It does seem to calm him.
You see him walking around with headphones.
It seems to zone him, or maybe center.
He likes being like an educator. You know what I mean? So it's like him talking about this music is like telling them about. You know what I mean? He always wants to be like way higher than anybody else in the room, either intellectually.
Well, yeah, it's all about having the anecdote or being the knowledgeable one. The you can talk about something in the room, and I think this is something that he is drawn towards. Yes.
Well,
ultimately.
And it's interesting because it's all like pop music that people could certainly consider vapid and just a sheen and have no substance.
Right.
And he like digs into it, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is. Yeah. I like it. This takes him to Espace. I forget how it was really called, but this fancy little dinner place. And we meet a whole bunch of people here. Evelyn's cousins, Timothy Bryce, Lewis Carruthers.
They're artists.
Lewis. He's in Silicon Valley.
Oh, is he?
He's like have you ever watched it?
Like the first season.
He was the main like villain that runs it, Gavin something.
Okay. Patrick, I think through narration explains that he thinks Evelyn and Timothy are having an affair, but Patrick is definitely having an affair with Courtney, who is Evelyn's closest friend.
Yeah, and Lewis's
fiance. They have this whole little fun dinner scene about Sri Lanka and all this kind of like not nonsense stuff going on there, and Patrick starts spouting off all this other thought-provoking, I said bullshit, about making the world better.
It is. And I almost feel like his rhetoric with this is almost the same rhetoric with music, is that like, it's just, I feel like he just read a bunch of shit and then compiles it and then regurgitates it to sound educated.
It's
you know
like
what I mean?
He watched a music fundraiser and repeated all the stuff all the bands talked about when they were on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, he's hitting all the things that are like, like like all the things that have had music fundraisers for them. He's like hitting the top things. And like
they're all very, I would say, left things to say as well. Like more liberal things, which is funny because in that first scene, somebody says something that's like anti-Semitic. And he's like, no, I just would like you to cool with the anti-Semitic remarks or something. Like, it's weird for
him
that, for him and in the environment he's in trying to fit in, it doesn't seem like.
He's a progressive psycho.
But he isn't. And I know in the book, it's a lot more blatant that he's racist, homophobic, xenophobic, misogynistic, like just terrible.
Yeah.
And there's a lot less blatant aspects to it, but it's certainly within here. There's a lot of moments with it.
I totally get that. Yeah, because like he has this one thing where he's doing that, like, please don't do those kind of remarks. And then when he's getting interviewed, he does like the Yale like closeted homosexual comment, and you're just like, wait, what the fuck?
You know the Yale thing.
The Yale thing.
So Patrick is now at an ATM, and a woman walks by. He quickly walks up next to her, walks up like behind her, next to her. She like waits to cross the street, kind of like simply looks over. It's like, hello. Kind of like looks at him up, hello, and then glances over, and then they kind of like cross the street slowly together. It's just this creepy little thing. And you're kind of like watching Patrick be creepy and do his thing.
Yeah.
It's a good way to build the anticipation for the audience.
Exactly.
Totally. Because like first watch,
really
you're not 100%
happens.
sure what's going on, but then obviously multiple views in, you're like, oh, this is him hunting.
Well, do
like,
you think he killed that woman, and the next day when we get to, because it cuts to the dry cleaners and they can't get the stain out of the sheets. Blood. And is the implication that her blood? I think so at this point.
I would say so, but it's also very open ended,
right?
Yeah, as in like, because realistically at this point you don't know what is a fucking twisted
juice, apple.
Like what is a twisted fantasy of his, and then like because I think that's one of the most interesting parts. Is like at what point does this become a mind trip versus what atrocities did he do before all of this shit started going into his head? Or is this just an entire head trip, you know?
Yeah. What's real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's very upset about these stains not being able to get out of here. Someone, Victoria, I think is her name, comes in and he kind of rushes out of the place, hands the sheets like, oh, I don't understand anything. You can have them take care of it, right?
Yeah. She can get them to fix this.
She really wants to get like a drink, like a date with him.
Yeah. We need to go to lunch. And he's like, what about Saturday? And he's like, next Saturday? She's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm going to see a new musical. Or what?
So fucking funny.
I can't next Saturday. I'm going to see Les Mis, I think.
Les Mis, yeah, that's what it is.
And then he rushes out of there. She has no luck with him. We get to Patrick watching porn, and he's calling Courtney now. Lewis is out of town. He wants to go to dinner with her, but she has to stay in and wait for a call from Lewis. And this eventually leads to Patrick
mentioning...
She's all
strung out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a continuation of her character. I mean, that we'll see throughout here. But she loves the drugs, I guess. Patrick mentions dinner at Dorsia?
Dorsia? Yeah, Dorsey's?
Dorsia.
There you go.
Courtney likes this idea. And that'll be our continuing restaurant throughout
This restaurant gets named a lot, and this is like, if you can get in there, it is such a status symbol.
Exactly. So he calls Dorsia up asking if it's still possible to reserve a table for tonight, and the person on the phone just laughs at him. Laughs at him. Which is wonderful and hilarious. I was wondering too, do you think he's hearing that in his head of like somebody's just outright rejecting him? They're talking normally and he's just like hearing someone laughing at him.
Oh,
it makes more sense than that being the actual response.
Right. So I don't know much about culinary shit. It just, some of the stuff that they talk about that are on the menus of all of these restaurants, I feel like some of them sound appealing, and then other ones where I'm like, would that just taste like garbage? Does that just sound fancy?
Do you have any written down? Because I'm curious which one sounded fancy and which one sounded gross fancy,
like
I guess.
Garbage
fancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of them sounded fancy and some of them sounded like garbage.
I'm curious.
Like fancy garbage.
Yeah. Next watch, keep note of your fancy your fancy good. Fancy garbage.
I'll try dropping it in the Discord. I'll try watching it before this comes out one more time just to give my shit list of.
So this person presumably laughs at him. Patrick's in the cab with Courtney at this point, and she's continuing to be really doped up at this point. She's like fucking like, almost passing out, practically
barely
passing
conscious.
Out. They get to the restaurant, and she seems to be passed out on the table because like Patrick has to like pull her up to wake up. And she's like, "This is Dorsia?" He's like, "Yeah." As he pulls up a menu for a place called Barcadia, I believe.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, this is totally Dorsia. And he orders for her. I forget. I didn't write down what he said, but he did say that New York Matinee called it a playful but mysterious little dish.
Something like peanut butter, something.
Burnt peanut soup or something.
That goes to what you were saying about him just regurgitating things that he reads and not having a real opinion, I guess.
Opinion on anything.
Yeah. It's always like someone else's review of it is like what he's mirroring. I also do like the fact that like I don't even think that they actually ate at the restaurant. As in, like, he just told her what she ate for dinner, and then she just fucking blacks out.
Well, I mean, very well could be. Could be. You know, now that I think about it, I'm like, maybe he doesn't like music at all, because it's not like when he's
just reading reviews that he's read.
He's just like, I don't know. I go back and forth if he actually enjoys the music now, and I don't think he does.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see where I go in another 5 minutes.
The only one. It's really funny. I think the only one that he actually listened to, because all the reviews are all over the place, except for the Phil Collins Genesis thing, where he goes, I didn't like the first few ones because I thought they were a little too intellectual. But then this one showed up where I was like, that was one of the only like actual semi-opinions where I was like,
actually smart.
So like,
He's just can memorize things.
Yes.
Never seen him working.
Well, yeah, it's the whole thing about Phil Collins. He's like, and then he went solo. His work became more commercial.
Yes.
But in an also more satisfying, but in a narrower way.
So after they have this little dinner, or he smiles kind of as she like slumps down to her chair, which takes us to our business card scene. So it's all our associate men hanging out in this.
And this is fucking flipping Patrick out.
Oh my God. It's so great. So
cards.
This introduces Jared Leto as Paul Allen, which which he thinks Patrick is named someone named Marcus. Yes.
Jared Leto in this movie looks like a Ken doll or something.
He almost, yes. I feel like he almost looks too young, I feel like, but
I had a note that he kind of looks like a high school student in Wall Street clothes that are like 4 millimeters too big. As in, like,
he actually seems like the son of the person who owns this place, if that makes sense. Like, he's fresh out. That's why he gets all the shit that he gets, because this really starts Patrick's hate for Paul Allen. And the sweating. It's beautiful how much
the whole look had the sheen he has. He doesn't look human there. You know, he looks plastic.
There was some IMDb fact I read on here, you know, how much legitimacy there is to that. But there was like, it was crazy working with Christian Bale. Like at that exact moment, all of a sudden he would just start sweating. Every take, he would just know how to sweat at the right moment.
Bullshit.
I was like, okay, guy.
Ridiculous.
But I can believe that he knew how to be fucking crazy and in those moments and portray that weird fucking
he does it
look that he does so well.
It's like this weird gaunt it's bizarre.
Right. For how fit he looks so gaunt and distraught in those moments. Paul Allen thinks Patrick is someone named Marcus, and they have like this little talk because they almost looked identical. Like we talked about the same glasses, the same suits,
same haircut. Although mine is slightly better.
Yes, his is slightly better. And I believe Timothy mentions to Paul Allen, like, you know, let's go play fucking whatever sometime. And this what initiates Paul Allen to pull out his card and hand it to Timothy. Boom. So Patrick's like, hey, check out my new card. Just got this one made here. And this just opens it up to everyone else, like pulling their card out. And
every time a card comes out, it's like, like a dramatic, like slow down.
Some of the whoosh sounds that are made during it were apparently created by slowing down the sounds of swords being drawn out of their sheaths.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because that's totally amazing. What this moment is. It's like this literal, like not this literal, this very figurative dick measuring contest.
Absolutely, 100%.
And each card going down is better. It's like the lettering, the coloring, like how
eggshell.
Eggshell.
That's subtle off-white.
And Patrick gets more and more fucked up. Like when, like, oh my God, they prefer his over to mine, and that's when it starts sweating. And then another card tops that card, and he's just doing it more. And then the fucking like, let's take a look at Paul Allen's.
And all the cards essentially look the same.
And like
Yeah,
all
like,
the other
they're-
dudes
they
are
all
just,
look-
you know, like
Yeah.
dicking around and bullshitting each other, being assholes, but not
Mhm.
ultimately caring as much as we see Patrick losing his shit.
Patrick, he's freaking out. He's like,
He's
oh my
losing
God,
his
I'm
mind.
Paul Allen's. He's like, is that a watermark?
It's a watermark.
Oh my God, a water, and he's like, oh, it drops the card. And
It's like-
Lewis is
yeah.
like, you're sweating.
his
Are you
hand
okay?
his hand shudders and it just like
claws
falls
out.
out. Oh God, dude.
What do you think? So, well, I guess he does mention he does feel two emotions. He mentions those later on, and one of them
Disgust
is disgust
and greed.
So I guess that's what's
Yeah.
playing into why he is just he's just disgusted. I feel like, yeah, all of this disgusts him that
Or
he's
I
not
thi-
the best,
Right.
the most,
Or just like almost
the most normal, the best
Yes.
normal, or whatever
well,
he considers.
yes.
I don't know if it disgust, because the stuff that seems to disgust him is the stuff that's not of this world. Everything outside of this.
Sure.
It seems like this is more of a jealousy thing, which I
Greed.
guess
It's like an
greed
envy.
can tie to disgust and greed.
Yeah.
Sort of the middle of the
I think he's
diagram.
greedy for one thing, so therefore he's disgusted by Paul Allen. Who fucking knows? It's something around, you know, play within that realm.
He's a psycho.
Exactly.
So
Later that
he's
night,
an unreliable narrator as well.
speaking of being a psycho, later that night, Patrick's walking down an alley. He encounters a homeless man named Al. He talks with him a little bit, asking if he needs some money, and then it turns real
You're kind.
fucking crazy. He's
You're
like,
a kind
"Hey,
man.
Al, why don't you get a fucking job?" It's like, oh, okay.
Do you know you smell like shit?
Yeah, he says he wants to help him, but I don't think he really wants to help him. Ultimately, he's like, Al, I just don't think we have anything in common. So this leads to Patrick stabbing him multiple times. Al has a dog with him, and this is when the dog gets killed as well. You hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. Yeah, kicked. The this killing
Yeah, it's a big
in the book
wide shot.
is a lot more brutal. Apparently, like all the killings are
Oh,
described out. What he does to Al as well as the dog is crazy. So they toned it down, which works very effective here. He fucking does his thing and walks off.
They should have started
Well,
playing You Can Call Me Al. We could talk about
That'd be
it's like
He's
Paul
like,
Simon
wait,
went
what's your
solo
name? Al?
and really
Al?
discovered
Hold on.
it.
Hold on. He like pulls out like his tape deck. He's like, I think I got that here.
Yeah. Hold on. It's just a backpack full of. No, I think cinematically, I think it is a really great choice that the murders get progressively more violent and insane as the movie goes through. Because I feel like if they had gone to the book and gotten like from the first visual kill that you get to be insanely gory, I feel like it would have I think it would have just escalated the movie to a completely different kind of feel than this like almost rising tide of violence as the movie progresses.
Well, even
Like him
still, I
losing
don't
more
think
control.
anything he does in the end of the film is not as terrible as what like happens and is described in great detail in the books and stuff like that. I think it was just
Yeah.
a much better way of telling a story and making a more likable murderer killer character type of thing.
Yes.
If you want to say he's likable, enjoyable to watch,
Well,
whatever it is.
It's still dark.
It's plenty
you don't-
dark.
It
It's
needed
real.
to be worse.
Exactly.
And that also like just talking about it seems like they had a lot of trouble just getting it made because of the content. So like
Certainly. You're not going to
probably aren't. Yeah. Don't need to try and make it worse.
Cut to Patrick getting a nice little facial, letting off some steam. He's narrating about his parents of being a human, but he has no emotions minus greed and disgust. He also feels his nighttime lusts are like seeping into the day, and he thinks his mask of sanity is about to slip.
I want to revisit Rules of Attraction now that I've watched this. I've never actually paired them up because Vanderbeek's character has a lot of similar narration where it's like, I'm not real. I'm an emotional vampire. I don't connect to anyone. You know, it's
Hell yeah.
very similar.
Next, we're at a Christmas party. Everyone's hanging out, having a good time. Evelyn has gotten a pig, apparently. Patrick's kind of just disgusted by everything going on. And Patrick spots Paul Allen, though. Mentions they should get together for dinner sometime soon. So Patrick's been cooking. He's real. He fucking hates Paul Allen. And he's like, I need to handle this. Paul Allen thinks I'm Marcus. Great. Or whatever. I
also really like the fact too when Reese's character walks up and catches, he goes, "Did he just call you?" No. Mistletoe alert.
Oh, yep.
We're like
pulls it off, distracts her. And this takes us to our dinner with Paul Allen, which is at this like very empty Mexican restaurant that seems totally like below them, quote unquote, or, like where they would be hanging
the
out.
only fucking reason why I showed up here is for this goddamn thing that you don't even have the fucking menu. It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
All right.
And Patrick's trying to sell it off as like this good place. Oh my god, is that Ivana Trump over there? No, Marcus, that wouldn't be.
Yeah. It's like, they have great, I don't know, he names two things on the menu. But he's clearly just like
bullshitting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Something's up.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't seen this and don't know what's coming, he's got a plan, a nefarious plan.
Mm-hmm. Paul Allen is like, we should have went to Dorsia. I could have gotten us in. I was like, of course he said that. Like that fucking just pokes at Patrick a little bit.
Yeah, another rib shot.
It's great.
But I think it's really funny too is that Paul doesn't even, obviously because he doesn't realize he's being hunted, but it's like, of course fucking Patrick's going to pick a restaurant that nobody of his friends go to. Mm-hmm. And it's like to get him fucking wasted there because no one's going to remember them there.
Precisely. The whole point of this is he's getting lubed up with the drink.
Shoused.
Yes. And everything that Paul Allen does gets more and more on his nerves. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, you got a great tan. Where do you do? He's like, spa or gym, of course. He's like, oh, I got one in my home. You should look into that. And that just as another like gut punch.
Fuck.
It's so fun. Those maybe moments I don't know if I picked up on those types of things necessarily younger.
Oh yeah. The slow building of like Paul Allen's character is really funny in the fact where like, obviously he's the main character. We're seeing it through his eyes, but like, God, he just, by the end of that, you're like, God, just kill him already. Like, just because he's just a fucking asshole.
Oh yeah.
See, when I was younger, I think I understood that. I was like, oh, that's amusing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I was laughing out loud at a bunch of parts now.
Right. And night goes on. Paul Allen gets increasingly drunk. And this brings us to Paul Allen sitting on a chair covered in like a painter's sheet with newspaper taped all underneath. And he is pretty damn drunk.
Yeah. What's with all this newspaper? You got a dog?
Oh, yeah. Look. This takes us to the whole Huey Lewis in the news situation of Patrick being like, you like Huey Lewis, infamous. Putting that on and going into his whole spiel explaining the intricacies of Huey Lewis. And
is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
Yeah. While he's getting ready to murder. That's the best. Like he's just going on.
And he explains how it's hip to be square is about like the beauty of conformity and fitting in.
Yes. Yeah.
It's such a fun scene. Christian Bale's moonwalk.
Which is the song that's playing. It's hip to be square.
Yes, it is. Christian Bale's moonwalk with the axe when he's about to murder Paul Allen. Was improvised, apparently, him when he wanted to do that whole thing. So he's having fun in here.
Shimmy.
He's just into it.
Yeah, getting into it. Patrick is super excited. It seems like at this point as well. This seems to be, I think he's genuinely kind of like giddy and excited in these moments. I think we're seeing that emotion come out of him because he knows he's about to get a good kill. It's going to happen. He's going to get his rocks off. And then we get, hey, Paul, and his fucking like super polished like silver axe. Like that thing's nice looking.
Yes.
Nice looking axe.
Really nice looking.
Takes that to Paul's face.
I even like that his fucking murder weapons are like designer murder weapons.
Well, and everything's that is the immaculately clean.
Yes.
Everywhere.
And
he's
chromed out.
Almost like he has OCD, but I'm sure he doesn't do it all himself.
Well, I'll mention
certain things, maybe.
I'll mention it here. In the film, Bateman's apartment is clean and polished. In the novel, his apartment gradually becomes filthy and messy due to the various body parts and organs of some of the victims, as well as a lot of spilled blood. This is one of the main reasons why he frequently used Paul Owens, named Paul Allen in the film. apartment to continue to bring home more victims.
Oh, nice.
So that whole part where he's at like Paul Allen's later, that's kind of like a play into this. But yeah, I like the idea that his apartment just gets grosser and grosser because of all the people he kills and body parts.
It
and
just
shit.
turns into a fucking like Ed Gein layer of just like trophies and shit. He's like, oh well, I can't bring anybody respectable here. Let me just hop to this other apartment.
The movie takes place over like a couple months or so. The book takes place over 2 years, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So there's some difference to there. So this leads to Patrick lighting up a cigar, chilling for a second. He's feeling fucking great. He did that. Patrick drags his Jean Paul Gaultier overnight bag stuffed with Paul Allen through the lobby and into a cab. But he's stopped by
leaving
Lewis.
a trail of blood through the lobby.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yes.
And like he drags it right by the night guard that has
The guard. Yeah.
no notice. And there's just like kind of like, okay. And
It's again one of those things where it's not him confessing, but it is pretty obvious and nobody cares.
right.
Yeah, and it's either like and I think
it
that's
real?
that's a fun conundrum that I kind of have with this movie in certain aspects, is that like, is it in his head or is he at a certain social tier that like he's rich enough that he could physically do this in a fucking building and nobody even bats an eye or gives a
I
shit?
think it's both.
You know what I mean?
I think a little bit
Yeah.
of both is happening. I think the blood trail is in his head, but I think
Yes.
he's really dragging it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an active blood
Sure.
trail there, but I think he's doing all that stuff there, and the guard sees him dragging something and does not care.
Right.
And because
Yes.
he's this super rich person, and like I don't even think like if the guard were asked who went by, he'd probably say it was fucking Marcus, or he would call
Somebody
him
else.
somebody
Yeah.
else. Exactly.
Someone else.
So that's why he's able to do all this stuff. I think Patrick doesn't realize it's. I don't think he realizes he's able to get away, or I don't know. Do you think he thinks he's luckier than he is, smarter than he is, or why he's able to get away with it? Because it seems like, well, we'll talk about the lessons he learns at the end of the movie, I guess. Well, I'll come back to that.
Real quick, that's just when we get the fun thing of him
yes.
loading it into
Sorry.
the trunk, and Lewis shows up and they chat for a second, and then he sees the trunk with the bag, and he's like, "Oh my God, where did you get that overnight bag?" Like Jean Paul Gaultier, and yeah, then it goes to the next scene, which I love the way Paul Allen's apartment starts, where he's like, I get to Paul Allen's apartment and for a moment I panic.
It's amazing.
It's
Because Paul's
Better than
place overlooks the park and is clearly more expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. I know exactly where I was thinking. I have a bunch of different perspective on this, and living in New York now and knowing all these locations. So
Right.
Patrick Bateman lives on the west side. So Central Park, right in the middle. If you think about he lives on the west side of that. Paul Allen lives on the east side, right on the edge of the park.
Okay.
And that little building that's in the court, he's right next to the Guggenheim Museum.
Okay.
So that's in the upper. It is a really nice, expensive ass
Really,
area,
really
especially
nice.
looking that's on Fifth Avenue, overlooking Central Park is expensive as shit. So the reason he came here is to pack a bag and make it look like Paul left town for London. He decides for a few days, has a bunch of shit,
He
throws it into a bag, and
records a message on Paul Allen's voicemail.
"Hey babe, it's Paul. I got called to London for a couple days. Hasta la vista," or whatever he does.
Yeah. Hasta la vista.
It's so funny. And this takes us to Patrick chilling in his office, listening to Lady in Red, and he's just sitting there, not really doing anything. And Patrick's assistant, Jean, comes in to say that a detective, Donald Kimball, is here to see him. This is Willem Dafoe, which is, I fucking love their interactions together.
Their interactions. I mean, could he act more like a suspect with all his answers and how he talks to him? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's fun shit. I love how he thinks, or how he is trying to control the situation. And it's really this scene between two characters, I don't know, battling against each other and their wits of Bateman trying to control, when it seems like Dafoe actually is, because Bateman is not He does not look well.
Oh, he's panicking the whole time.
Trying to like distract him. He's trying to swerve him some other different ways, but none of these things are working.
Yeah, somebody's like,
Defoe's just coming
but
back.
you don't consider it a homicide yet, right?
Right? Like, no.
No, like I said, he's just missing.
It is the most guilty man talking to a detective. Like his poker face is terrible.
Horrible.
I do like before he comes in.
Do you want the lime? Do you want the lime?
Yeah.
I mean, I can get you the lime.
I'll get you a lime. Before he comes in, he's on that fake phone call talking about how to dress or whatever.
Always tip 15%.
Always tip the stylist 15%.
Don't tip them.
No, don't tip the owner.
And after this moment, Patrick's back at home. He's, I think, pretty pissed off, and he's working out, watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Fucking going at it.
Crunching hard, doing all sorts of, I don't know, fucking workout things.
Showing off that bod.
Yeah, totally. You got to get a sweaty bod in here. Then we see him cruising the streets in a limo, and he picks up a little street lady.
He does.
Convinces her to head back to his place, and on the way back there, he calls for an escort. He's very specific about the type, a blonde. He emphasizes blonde.
I cannot stress this enough. Blonde.
He also explains to our street lady that his name is Paul Allen. She is Christy for the night. Back at the apartment,
My name is Paul Allen. You got that?
Paul Allen. Back at the apartment, Patrick is watching the woman bathe, and he would like her to wash herself. This is a very a very perverted like, what's that fucking Julia Roberts movie, Richard Gere moment, Pretty Woman moment. Like, even though that movie has problems in it itself,
I did 2 watches for this, and my first watch was on when I was flying out to California. I started it before I got on the plane, and then when I got on the plane, it was like this scene essentially. So it's like trying to hold my tablet close to me and at an angle.
Great, good. So it goes on for a little bit too.
It sure does.
Yes.
You're aware of every second of this scene. He instructs her to wash herself. The other escort arrives, so he's like, grab one of the robes, not the whatever.
She's more of a strawberry blonde.
Yeah, and he meets the escort, not happy about her blonde hair, and he wants them to. I like this whole moment. He seems to really want them to be impressed and ask questions, but they're not at all. Don't you want to know where I work?
Do you want to know what I
care?
Yeah.
No.
I know.
Pearson Pierce. Heard of it?
No. Like,
no.
Everything he's trying is not, I guess, getting his rocks off in the way that he wants to be praised. So he throws on some Phil Collins, and this is where we are in Genesis. Starts going on
about
that.
Genesis and Phil Collins. This is Susudio.
Oh yeah, then they Susudio indeed. He's setting up a video camera this time and and instructing them on what to do. Hey, disrobe.
Dance.
It's
go down on all fours on the bed. Now stare at her asshole.
Don't just stand there. Eat it, for God's sakes.
Don't look at it. Eat it. It's like, it's just, I think what's also weird too I guess it's just his vocalization of things is that like his inner monologue is this charismatic robotic, I guess would be the best way of saying how he approaches a lot of different shit, where like he's very the same tone while talking about a bunch of shit here, including directions for these women, which makes it more off-putting, where it's like, I feel like it's scripted. Even what he wants them to do is in his head, so it comes off reading very robotic.
It's probably in that porn he was watching earlier. He's just like reenacting it.
That makes sense. He saw it somewhere. Yeah, no, he has a very clear idea of what things are supposed to be according to whatever set of rules. That makes sense. Yeah, what he was watching the porno earlier. That makes a lot of sense, because with him watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre and what happens later in the film, I think is him doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre better in his mind. Sure. If that makes sense. We'll get So during this scene as well, when they're all Susudioing, to block the 3-way scene, the director Mary Herron and Christian Bale apparently watched a bunch of X-rated tapes, and in her commentary, Herron says that Bale made stick figure drawings the positions that he thought would work best for, framing and shooting and everything.
Fun.
Yeah. Bale's like, look, I'm going to nail her like this.
Well, and most of the time it's him looking at himself in the mirror,
which is fucking
not looking at them.
Yes, and if you've seen anything, if you haven't seen this movie
occasionally
and seen anything from this movie, it's probably some of this fucking, pointing and
his like flexing,
and flexing in the mirror,
himself, pointing at himself.
It's great. So how into himself he is so fun.
Yeah. Like just the level of narcissism is just so man, even in like the way he's directing them in the video cameras, like he wants them, they are continuously making eye contact, looking into the camera, looking at him. Like he's just staring at himself the entire time.
Oh, yeah. So they are finally spent and they're sleeping in bed together. This is when we get don't touch the watch. One of the girls like kind of like flops her arm down on his. One of them asks if they can leave, but he isn't done yet. Off screen, I guess we see he beats them.
He must beat them up
a bunch or something.
When he tells them he isn't done yet, he's holding a wire hanger, and I don't know what the other thing is.
Well, he opens a drawer, and the drawer has like a hole puncher and pliers and like knives and weird shit, and he pulls out a coat hanger, and he goes, "We're not fucking done yet." And then
I apologize. This is a lot. Do you think he's using it to insert and like make sure?
I am going to say yes, because of the dialogue later in the movie that I need surgery because of what you did. I feel like there was a lot of like real fucked up insertion shit that probably happened that was not like that. That's probably what happened in the jumps. Assuming.
And the one girl, not Christy, because Christy comes back later, but the other girl that leaves, we see her face when she's leaving, and she's clearly been
beat up. She's like bruised looking eye, bloody nose and lips and stuff. We
don't see Christy's face.
She has like scratch mark looking things on her back as well, it looks like too.
Okay.
Yeah, all beat up.
So,
and he pays them, and then they get out of there is what we see. He lets them leave. Okay. Yeah. Patrick chilling with some fellas at this point. There's some more misogyny and drinks, and we get a little Ed Gein story. He's like, you know what Ed Gein said about women? Like, who the fuck's Ed Gein? The guy, the maitre d' or whatever. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Serial killer.
Serial killer.
The 50s.
Wisconsin.
50s. and tells his little Gein story. And he fucking thinks that is, I think those actually do tickle him. I think he likes his little serial killer stories. Those probably as well.
100%.
Tickle. Nobody else laughs at that. But then Lewis, he pops up with a new business card. Ooh, this fucking enrages Patrick. He can't fucking believe it. Yeah. This guy's fucking like typeface font is like gold.
Like, this guy's fucking
what the fuck? How dare you? So to the point where he follows Lewis into the bathroom, and I think he's going to strangle him. He's like, that's what his plan is. But Lewis takes it differently.
The intent is
this
murder.
Just throws Patrick.
Yes, Lewis turns around and is like, oh my God, Patrick here? And he like pulls up his glove and kisses him on the hand.
Of all places.
Because, Lewis is like, I've seen those looks. I just never thought, I can't believe this. Lewis is over the moon, and Patrick's like, his world is crumbling around him. This is not part of the image he is trying to portray.
Exactly.
Especially these guys, Wall Street, all that, it is.
Precisely.
So, horrified, he's like, almost having a panic attack and runs out.
Well, you know why he runs out, right?
Then there's the call me.
Yeah.
He has some videos he needs to return. Some videotapes. This is the first time it happens.
Yes, I got to return some videotapes. Oh, God.
I love that as an excuse. Like, you need to run the fuck out of somewhere.
Yes. Which is such a dated excuse that, like, people, if you didn't, like, you'll have to explain, like, listen, you could only rent them for so long. You had to turn them in. It was a real thing. You could use it as a legitimate excuse to just leave anything.
To get out of something.
His face while he does it too. He's like, I have to return something. It's his portrayal of this is like, if you're for some reason still listening to us talk about it and not have watched this movie yet, that's cool. Thanks for hanging out with us and letting us be your guide so far. But you got to watch Christian Bale portray
You gotta watch
Patrick
it.
Bateman.
Performance.
That performance is just, hey, it's killer.
Sit you there.
Thank you. After this, we get back at the office with Detective Kimball waiting for him, and we get some more questions and trying to cross-reference some information about Paul Allen's disappearance. Where were you when, the night before or whatever like that? He's like, oh, I think I was having, dinner at whatever with this lady. He's like, that's
not what
information
I have.
What?
He's like, oh, well,
That's
maybe
not
I
what I
was, I love how he's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I was doing, what's the information you have?
I forget exactly what happened in that moment. And Willem Dafoe's almost ready to tell him. He's like, oh, I have that. And then something happens that interrupts that. And they continue. But basically, Patrick's like, I'm fucking beat from the day. Willem Dafoe's like, I am too. Let's set up. Let's have lunch in a week. We'll get our story straight. Get back together and talk about everything. Patrick goes to get out some fucking rage by banging Courtney. I think that's what the implication is here, because that's what he's doing next.
It's just the closest thing to him that he can,
I think so. Some level of, I don't know, connection.
Power.
I don't know if he has a connection, power, something to her, but he goes to it.
Yeah, he gets the adoration that he seeks.
There you go. Yeah. She wants to know if she will see him again before Easter. Is that when she's getting married, I presumed?
I guess
think so.
That's only kind of what I guessed. He plays it off like he does. He's like, oh, you're pretty, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about anything. Everything's fine. She sounds very desperate. There's two things I got out of this. I got out that Easter was the date of the wedding. And then she said something about like, if I don't see you before Easter, like, be good, have a whatever, do something like that. It almost sounded like she was gonna like kill herself or something. I was getting the implication, or like totally. Like she won't see him again. I
always thought it was gonna be
almost tries to call out to him is what she was doing. And when he leaves and she's like, hey Patrick, he's like, never mind or whatever. And like
never mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought that she was going to be doing something where she's like, I'm pregnant, because in the car, she goes, I just want 2 kids. I just want 2 beautiful, and then just nods out.
Okay.
Because I mean, like, I don't know. I think the implication is that he's been raw dogging her for a while. And like, that was the first time I was like, is she going to say she's pregnant?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be it too. I don't know. There's nothing really much more to it. But this takes us to Patrick and Timothy are at the club now, doing some coke in the bathroom. Apparently really shitty coke. Was that coke that's just like, is that just like their coke that like you can go and do? Where did that coke come from?
I don't know.
I was confused.
We guys keep it down. I'm trying to do drugs over here.
Everyone's doing drugs. So there's just so many drugs going on in this bathroom.
They have like a place built in each stall, like at nose height.
It's perfect nose
for cocaine.
Yeah, man. It's the 80s. Timothy, he roid rages a little bit, but then chills out. Like,
sorry, steroids.
Yeah. And then they meet with these 3 blonde ladies, and Patrick tells one of them to ask me something. And she asks what he does. And this is when he says, I'm into murders and executions.
How is that?
How is it? When I talk to a lot of guys that are into mergers and acquisitions, they say they don't like it.
They don't like it.
Yeah. So this is fun in the club. Like, he's just saying whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Do you think he's actually saying it? Or do you think it's still this part? I'm still
I don't know.
Yeah.
See, the cool thing is, even if he's not, and it's just because it's in his head, it still hits the point of like the message of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Both perspectives lead to the same point, which is neat.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. They hit it off, presumably, and he takes her home, maybe. I don't know. Ends with them and at a cab, kind of maybe getting into it. The next morning at the office, Patrick's doing a crossword puzzle. Really weird one where all the answers seem to be either meat or bone.
He's also
weird.
Isn't he also playing with a lock of her hair that he shoves into his fucking front pocket?
Mm-hmm.
He certainly is. And Jean, she comes in and it's like,
is she in a dress and heels? I didn't know that. I didn't think to look.
I did not think to look either. But this does lead to Patrick asking her out to dinner. And he says they can go anywhere she wants. It's not about him. It's about her. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know where this is going to lead to where she wants to go. She suggests maybe Dorcia, of course. Dorcia? This is when he calls him up. And this is what I think a conversation would actually go like with someone's asking for reservations, which is like, do you have any reservations? No, we're booked. Like,
right.
That's great. 2 and 9. Fantastic.
Yeah, and he plays it off like he did get the reservation. And he suggests, hey, meet at my place beforehand. We'll grab some drinks. And then at Patrick's, she comes over. He offers her some sorbet. This is where we get a little bagged head in the fridge. And I think this is
whose head is that?
I think the woman
I always thought it was the model.
From the one the night before. The
model.
Yeah. The head that appears in Patrick Bateman's refrigerator was achieved by the actress in question sticking her head up through the fridge's shelves. So that's just her head chilling up in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fun.
That's great.
They have a nice little banner together, and he asks her what she wants to do with her life while he's kind of doing his like kill routine, looking at like knives, looking at stuff, kind of getting ready.
Don't you dare put that fucking spoon down.
He ain't happy about it. Put it in the canister or whatever he says. Put it in the carton.
Don't put it on the table. Yeah.
While he's walking around checking out different knives, grab some duct tape. I just need that for taping something.
Taping some stuff.
She asks him, have you ever wanted to make someone happy? This is when he like walks behind her and has this nail gun behind his back, like hidden, and just walks and just like stands behind her, holding it to the back of her head, unbeknownst to her, and says that he's just looking for a meaningful relationship, someone special. Then the phone rings.
Someone special.
And he lets it go to tape, and it's Evelyn. Kind of ruins the vibe. But
hey,
Gene asks
Gene asks
Patrick,
I know you hate that,
if she should leave. And he says, yeah. Doesn't think he can control himself. Which is interesting.
It's such a...
here.
Yeah, I feel like this may be one of the only scenes that actually may be based in reality. Like, this could have been easily something that was real, shy of the other. Yeah, I mean, not the head in the fridge and stuff like that, but it's like, he brings her over and then like her leaving.
No, I think this definitely happened.
Yeah,
it's interesting why he decides to let her leave. He gives her a chance because she tries to stay. She's like, I always get involved with unavailable men. Are you sure you want me to leave? He's like, you're gonna get hurt if you stay.
Do you want to get hurt? I guess not.
I guess not. And why do you think he
I have
does
no
this?
idea.
Why do you think he doesn't kill her?
I think it brings him back in. I think just hearing the voicemail brings him back to a level of reality for himself where he realizes he's like, fuck, this is my fucking secretary. Like, it's not a random person. Like, now he's like, okay, I'm about to kill like literally the person.
Getting too close.
Yes. Yeah. Where it's like his homicidal impulses are mostly towards strangers. I mean, Paul Allen was one of the first ones in his collective that he killed, and everything else has been kind of on outsider type shit. And then
he was ready to kill Lewis. I mean,
right, but he should not have done that.
Well, yeah. He's losing his grip on reality and making bad decisions of who he is should be killing. I just think, I don't know, maybe he's a product of who he's around. Mm-hmm. So maybe she's not like these other types of people that he is. And it was, I don't know.
Because he kills the homeless
saw something
man
different
guy
in her.
too.
He maybe for whatever reason, the way she acts and is around him doesn't disgust him.
Yeah.
Like he isn't disgusted by her, therefore allowed her the opportunity to leave. I think ultimately that could be
that's
it.
really
Not that he likes her.
I like that a lot.
That he's not disgusted by her.
Because that gives Paul Allen and Al both can be disgusting, and same with the model and all the other things. Yeah. If you go off that factor. Yeah.
Next day, Patrick has lunch with a detective, and we learn he apparently has an alibi for Paul Allen's murder, that he was hanging. Someone else said that he was with everyone else at like a fucking resort or something.
That's right. And again, it's just because people being mistaken for people again.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like, oh, great. So that just like solves that problem with our detective right there. That kind of wraps up. He's like, all right, cool. Sometime later at night, he goes and picks up our street lady again.
The only part about that fucking lunch scene, and it's shit that you don't catch until like the 30th time you watch it, but it's like while he's talking to the detective, the gratuitous amount of salt that he puts on the steak, because he's not even paying attention to the food he's eating. He's just doing it. It's just like, it's almost a mound of like fucking salt on top of that steak. It's hilarious.
That's awesome. I did not notice that. That's great.
Yeah, because he's constantly distraught anytime the detective's around. He's like, I'm fucked. I'm fucked. I'm totally fucked. I mean, how could I not be fucked? And
he's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
He's fine. So he meets up with our street lady from before, and after some convincing, a lot of money in a check, she decides to go with him again. This is where when she says, like, I need to get surgery after what you did last time.
Yeah. Friend might should contact a lawyer.
Yeah, one of my friends said I should contact a lawyer. But it like enough money was able to persuade her, and he's like, I'm going to take you back to my new place, which is Paul Allen's place. And we meet another woman there named Elizabeth as well.
She's like, wow, this is much nicer than your other place. It's like, it's not that nicer.
It's not that good.
Hilarious. The way she just fucking gut punch. Patrick drugs the women's drinks, which eventually leads it to them all going to Bangtown and just going wild under the sheets. And Patrick at one point starts to go down on Elizabeth under the sheets, and our street lady, she tries to like kind of like
get the
slowly
fuck
back
out of there.
Out. She's like, I know what comes after this. Like,
I'm out.
Yep, I'm out.
I'm done.
Patrick, he gets a little bitey.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
a lot
blood
bitey.
starts showing up in the sheet where he was going down on her.
It certainly does.
Yeah, I don't.
And
is it just biting? Because for whatever reason, I feel like he was like biting and then stabbing, and because that's a lot of fucking blood that's coming off of those.
maybe
sheets.
it's hard to say. We don't know for sure. I don't think.
I just thought it was.
I will say this: even though there are several implications in the film, in the novel, Patrick Bateman was portrayed as a cannibal, with cannibalistic shit going on. There are many graphic scenes of Bateman devouring the bodies of his victims, whether cooked or raw. He's a lot bitier.
A lot bitier.
That's what we should start calling. This is when we cannibals now. They get, the biters, the bitey people,
the biters, the bities,
which also makes so much sense because like such a huge amount of this movie socialization is eating. In going to lunch and going to dinner,
absolutely,
and doing these things. So like the perverse version of that for him would be consuming his victims in a slew of different ways.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. This leads to Patrick noticing our other lady trying to make escape. She runs away, and this is where we get him running butt naked with the chainsaw, wearing some shoes. Raw. It's. Oh my God!
Those
there we get some of those fucking perfect man hams again.
Yeah. This is a great scene.
The man hams to beat,
dude.
We need to have a standing like man hams to beat. And right now at the top is Christian Bale.
Yes,
as Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a tough one.
God tier man hams.
Adonis.
And I think this is also the first time that you start really like. This is kind of the point, even in the first viewings of this, is that like it's either that it's not happening or it's so elite that something like this could happen and nobody gave a shit. Is like her pounding on every fucking apartment, screaming her head off in a ritzy high-rise apartment building. Is fucking
you wouldn't answer your door to that shit. No.
Wild to me.
Yeah, I don't think any of this happened. But again, I don't think it still helps prove the point, regardless of if it's real or not. it all
yeah,
works.
no, like it definitely didn't happen because obviously, you know, you find the apartment later and shit like that. But it's also just like that level of just elitism, that like the idea that initially when watching this for the first time, I didn't think it was fictitious. I was
Of
like,
course,
God, these people are so fucking rich that like, of course they could get away with this in this building. You know what I mean? Like,
I do think he kills all these people. To what level?
I'm not sure that he does. I don't know. I think he kills some of them for sure, but I just don't know who or how many or what exactly.
I think, yeah.
Because then as it goes, he certainly doesn't kill them all. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
So Patrick's chasing her with the chainsaw. She starts running down the stairs. This is when he drops it down the body faller, and it just fucking lands perfectly.
That scream that we're like,
nails her.
As he does it, like that fucking triumphant, like, I fucking got you.
It's just animal.
It's fucking great. This leads to Patrick having a meal with Evelyn now. He's drawing on the table very frantically of his little scene that he just played out in his head. Yeah. And he wants to break up with Evelyn, basically. He's like, I'm fucking done. We have nothing in common. This is stupid. I have murderistic intended. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He wants to murder shit and he doesn't like you anymore. So he breaks up with her. This takes us to Patrick at an ATM. And this ATM wants to be fed a cat.
Feed me a stray cat.
The best. Ross, have you ever done a flash of feed me a stray cat ATM? I feel like
I should.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then like at this point, I think probably my first viewing, like when I saw that, I was like, the fuck? What the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm. So obviously the machine didn't say that. Do you think he really killed this lady?
Yeah, I think he was there. I think he saw a cat. I think he's just completely lost his mind and thought the machine said to feed this cat to her. So I think he was really holding a cat and pointing a gun to its head. This lady came up to him, and I believe that he shot her.
Well, because then he's on the run, right? And the cops.
Yeah.
Because that definitely, I don't think, happened when he gets in the shootout with the cops and the cop cars explode.
Oh, and he looks down and he looks at his car and he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I don't know if the cops are there or not. A note on IMDb said when Bateman shoots at the police towards the end of the film, the police cruiser explodes despite only being hit by bullets. Bateman rightfully looks at the gun as if it shouldn't have done that. This is a reference to 80s action movies where the cars would just blow up like this, which might be a clue that this scene exists partially in Bateman's mind.
Yeah, that's what it is once you know, then
certainly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it could be up in the air if he actually did kill that woman. I think he could have definitely killed that woman and then thought the cops were after him at that point.
And that's his paranoia.
Like it's constant blend between what is real and what isn't, what's in his mind after that. So after this happens, he runs back to his office, goes to runs into one of the buildings. There's a front desk guard there that asks him to sign in. Shoots him
in the head. The guy goes, he also says to him, it's like, oh, hey, Mr. Smith, you need to sign in. So it's again mistaken identity.
All the time.
Yeah. Working the midnight oil, huh? So he shoots him and then he starts running towards the back of the building.
Oh my God, the janitor.
The cleaning guy comes out.
He's going through like a spinning
and it's one
doors.
of those rotating doors. So right as he's about to leave, he sees the janitor. So he spins all the way back around in, shoots the janitor and spins back out. Do you think he killed these people? I think so.
To be totally honest with you,
I don't think so. Maybe the security guard, that janitor would have been a tough shot to pull off the way it all happened.
I don't think that Patrick Bateman killed a single person. I think that it is like delusions of, I think because a lot of it in his notebook, and I think it's just, he wants to be this psychopath and things like that, but like the real Patrick Bateman, all the other characters allude to the fact that he is just this subservient weasel of a person. Dillweed, where I think that all of this is just a ginormous fantasy of a dude who wants to have more power and just doesn't attain that. And then this is just all his just disgusting fantasies.
Interesting.
Portrayed through like boredom, greed, and disgust.
Okay.
Fair.
Maybe. I don't know.
Sure. I mean,
I
can see that.
I don't know. I like to, most things I don't, it works for this movie. A lot of times I don't like it when it's kind of like, it's up to you to decide. Where I'm like, make a choice, have something to say. Because I think in this, no matter if you decide if it's real or in his head, it still kind of has the same message. So it's not like, it's up to you to decide what's real, but it doesn't matter for the point.
Yeah.
Certainly.
The message still comes across.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in like Marty's, the message is very vague, and I'd rather it have a point.
Yes.
I mean, no, I agree. It could be taken either type of way. I always thought, yeah, it is real. And I think because he so doesn't, and a lot of these people don't have a personality, nobody,
I think it's like a mix,
really thinks of Bateman as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There is no Patrick
in the real
Bateman.
world.
There's only an idea of Patrick Bateman.
Exactly. And his idea is a lot different than what people think, but I think he is still just,
but also nobody
doing all
knows.
these
Everybody
things.
thinks he's other people. It's very, So like, do they think Patrick Bateman sucks, or do they just think other people that they think are Patrick Bateman sucks?
Someone who they always just thought was Patrick Bateman.
Because his friends, his like close group,
Right.
Timothy and all that, clearly know him
Absolutely.
as Patrick Bateman,
Mm-hmm.
and don't seem to think of him as, well, maybe they do. Maybe they do just talk about him behind his back as some Weasley.
It seems like everybody talks about each other behind their backs.
Yeah, because like,
Yeah.
Isn't his best friend banging his fiance? Like the first, yeah.
Everyone's banging everyone. Yeah, it's that type of world where everyone talks behind everyone's backs. It seems like it is that world where, I guess, it's hard. Well, I can't remember specifically if he brings up himself to other people and then they say, "Oh yeah, Bateman sucks," or if they bring Bateman up to
remember either.
Because like it could be like within that world when you bring up some other person, if that person's not with you, you call him a piece of ass,
yeah,
or not
piece of
ass,
shit,
an asshole, piece of shit, jerk off type of thing.
Yeah, that's
they're not
actually
in
very
that conversation with you. It's
maybe he's so crazy that there really is no Patrick Bateman, and this is like a Fight Club situation where.
Oh, well, I was thinking
he's
that too.
like-
He's
Yeah.
the narrator. What he has some other
Mhm.
character, and Patrick Bateman's all in his head, and it's actually you're looking at some like dweeb characters. Really, what is there?
Yeah.
And
It's actually Lewis.
This is all Lewis.
Yeah, could be. So after he's had this little run-in with all these guards, killing and all this shit, he runs into another building, sees another guard, looks like he's about to shoot him again, pulls out a pin to sign into that building, goes up to his
Mhm.
office, starts freaking out as like helicopters are presumably like looking around, shining in, and
Right.
patrolling everything, looking for him. And he makes a frenzied call and confession to his lawyer about all the things that he has done.
And he plays it so straight. The confession, and so like gut wrenching, and it
Mhm.
is so funny. He's like, I don't know, like eight or 10 women and like 7 dogs or like whatever his list
I also just like the
is.
jump in numbers.
Is
He's like,
ridiculous.
I made 20. I think
I killed like maybe 20, maybe like 40 people.
His approximation doubles.
Yeah. So this was all of these things he were talked about in detail in the book as stuff he did. And Bale's frenzied confession to his lawyer.
I must have not read it because it seems like it would be memorable.
Right. Said on this that this took 14 takes to do this scene. The director, Mary Herron, kept pressing Bale to do another take as he improved with each one. Bale was refueled regularly by cappuccinos during all this. He's just hopped up on
Just hop up on
cappuccino and
caffeine.
fucking confessing.
Well, they got a great take. I really like this confession.
No, it's you can tell he's obviously super sweaty and losing it. and just like
He did that all on his own.
sweating every bead himself. Takes us to the next morning. Patrick, he's showering, getting ready for work. Goes over to Paul Allen's place. Yeah, I know. But it's all super cleaned up and like freshly painted, and Patrick's very confused at what's going on here. This is when we get that there's like a realtor there, like showing the place off. He's like, but what happened to Paul Allen? I'm looking for Paul Allen's place.
Yeah. Did you find our ad in the Times? We never had an ad in the Times. I think you need to leave. Where it's
He's like, no, I mean, yes, I did.
Where it's weird because like if you're in the realm of his reality, it seems like something higher than himself is covering up all of his crimes. But if you're in reality, he may have never actually physically have been to this fucking apartment. And then, or if he did, it was maybe Paul Allen's for moving out or something around those lines. Cause like,
oh, sure.
None of the murder, because there's dozens of bodies in Paul Allen's thing when you see it, and none of those people are there anymore, which means all of those murders had to have been fictitious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Patrick Bateman, I think it is a Fight Club situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's just imagining like this cool dude, and right now this like fucking nerdy Lewis guy is walking into this apartment and like yeah, totally. It makes sense. It tracks. All right, so after all this, he's very confused. He makes a frantic call to Jean that he's losing his mind, which causes her to start looking around his office. And Patrick meets up with more of his work buddies, and he's like super nervous, obviously. Like, it's like, didn't I go on a fucking killing spree last night and no one's after me right now?
I am not going.
And he notices.
I'm not going anywhere without a reservation.
Right. He notices his lawyer, so he goes and talks to him.
Who fucking doesn't know who he is anyways?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, and his lawyer thinks it's a hilarious joke as well and doesn't even realize, Patrick is Patrick.
Yeah.
And he mentions Patrick and he keeps pushing, but the lawyer's like, this leads to the lawyer being like, I had dinner with Paul Allen twice in London.
Yeah.
So
again, that goes to the theory of nobody being killed.
But Paul Allen is missing because other people, right, are talking about, the missing person.
Yeah.
Do they ever say that?
Is anybody else talking about Paul
other people
Allen
mention?
yes. The only.
Yeah.
Do they? Okay,
besides the detective, other people do mention.
But
someone, I don't know if they mention him by name, but someone does. Don't you work with that person that went missing at your work? Somebody says that to him.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I don't know. It might be just like.
But again, that could not be real.
Yeah, this is the problem when your narrator is batshit
it's
crazy,
just unreliable.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because it seems like maybe everything up until he gets to the apartment and sees that it's empty could not be real, and now he's doing
blending.
All I don't
know.
He must have left that message though, which happened before then.
Yeah, he definitely left that message.
Yeah,
because the lawyer thought it was hilarious at first.
So again, who knows?
Hard to say. Meanwhile, Jean, she's looking through Patrick's crazy drawings and sees all his fantasies and whatevers of killing, mutilating.
What a
cute little drawings.
What a weird middle school. There should have just been Slayer written somewhere in the middle of that. Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was missing some pentagrams and like rocker fists and like all that good shit. Patrick sits back down with his friends and he just kind of starts laughing. And we get ultimately a little narration that ends with him saying that he wants his pain to be inflicted upon others.
Mm-hmm.
And even after admitting this, that there is no catharsis, my punishment continues to elude me, and I gain no deeper knowledge of myself. This confession has meant nothing. Meaning, he didn't learn shit and got away with everything.
Sin.
And if he actually did kill anyone.
If he did anything,
And apparently there's a sign at somewhere in this scene, there's a sign that says, "This is not an exit." And apparently that's the last words of the novel as well here. And that takes us to the end of the movie. There you have it. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Sure does.
What a wild ride.
Yeah. We'll get to the ratings. I'm interested in seeing what I'm going to rate it. Got to be honest. Because I have had changing opinions of this movie over time, even though a lot of those changing opinions occurred with me not revisiting or watching it again.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. All right, guys, let's jump over to our crematorium. All right, here we are into our crematorium of questions. First off, how would we survive?
All right, so let's say he actually is killing people and Patrick Bateman is trying to kill us. We get invited up to his apartment to listen to fucking
Hippie Square.
Yeah, Huey Lewis. Some Tears for Fears.
Yeah.
And well, there's three of us and one of him. I think we're maybe one of us dies, but I think we'll be okay.
Interesting.
Or would we just,
because it's a lot of surprise kills too.
Or would we just party with Patrick Bateman?
Probably not. All he does is coke.
Well, here's the weird thing. Well, yeah, we would probably just watch him do a bunch of cocaine and be like, all right, I guess we're gonna head out of here, babe. Because I mean, shy of the homeless man and the people that he shoots at the end of the film, he mostly hunts women. Like,
that's true.
And most of the people that he kills that are men are homeless.
Well,
so
Paul Allen, and he was gonna kill Lewis.
It's people that he's like, jealous of. If it's a man, like, I don't think we're on his radar.
It's business cards.
Like, I don't think like
I look homeless, so I might be on his list just by accident. But I think
we don't
you guys
have any
are fine.
business cards, so we're
I don't think we ever one up him, so that doesn't piss him off. I don't think we're not homeless, and you don't actually look that bad, Ross, or like anything. So like, I don't think like he would look at us in that way. I just think like we would be blind to, like, he wouldn't see, like, we're just so low class that it wouldn't matter. Like, but not low class enough that I don't know.
To be
this
killable.
Bateman anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know about Book Bateman. Book Bateman, I think, was killing all sorts of different people.
Everybody.
All right, good. I think we might make it survivable. How do you make it gooier?
Show it. We get blood splatter on him, blood splatter, blood around, aftermath, but we don't see any penetration or like knife or axe.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, showing the deed. Honestly, even if you threw in about 10% of cannibalism, that would add to the goo and gore. Him actually eating people would be kind of fucking wild to see in this movie. He talks about it.
To the goo.
Yeah, I can agree with both of those. All right, our villain level 1 through 10. Power, iconography. Add those up. Power level. That's iffy. That's not that terribly high. I mean, if he's really killing,
Power's a 1 or a 2.
Pretty good at it because he doesn't get caught. Presumably, if he's really doing it, he's good.
I'd say a 2, just because he's in the peak of human physical prowess. 2. You know what I mean? Like, but he's still a person.
Yeah, let's go.
Two.
Good. Iconography.
I mean, Patrick Bateman as a horror icon. I mean, like,
it kind of depends. I feel like, what is his iconography? Is it him in a suit? Is it him in a raincoat with the axe? Is it him
naked with a chainsaw?
Like white shorts, naked with a
all
chainsaw?
Of it.
Exactly.
That's all of it.
It's all of it. I want to honestly. I want to give it I'm going to give it a 5.
Give it whatever you want, Ross.
Because I think like just the iconography of, like, if you talk to people about American Psycho, even if they've never seen the movie, they know the fucking the raincoat, that thing has been parodied 1,000 times. You know what I mean? Like, I think the look of Patrick Bateman and certain iconic scenes are just over the top.
If you're taking it all together, I'll give it a 5 as well.
Yep. Yeah. Same. Wonderful. So 5, 6, 7. I think great. Love it. Does this deserve a sequel? Do you want a sequel? What's a sequel you want to see? American Psycho 2?
If there was a sequel, I would want it to continue with Patrick Bateman.
You don't want Mila Kunis?
Well, I've never seen it, so I can't shit on it.
I definitely owned it. I don't know.
Of course you did, you little sequel freak.
I don't remember it at all, to be honest. It's not good. Someone will say it's good. I don't remember it being good. It's a different story. It's a different tone. Everything just, It tries to. I don't remember it working.
I couldn't tell you.
I know you couldn't.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it. We know.
I knew she was in it. Does it have a colon?
Yeah, it has a colon.
Or is it just American Psycho 2?
I think if I was to make, I don't think it needs a sequel, but if I was going to do a sequel, I think it would be either shortly after the events of this one or like almost towards the end of this movie and just having the secretary's point of view and then trying to look up the insane shit in the book to almost be like what the reader or the viewer is like, what in this was actually real and not real. And then like looking up these appointments and things like that, where it's almost like a sleuthy kind of like, well, I have this like confession of a madman basically, but like what part of this was real and what part of it wasn't real.
Gotcha.
And then like maybe allude to the fact that he actually did kill someone, or he went crazy enough that like the last night with the gun and things like that, he may not have gone like full Rambo, but he actually did wind up killing someone, which caused his psychotic break.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Certainly. It's American Psycho 2, All American Girl.
ooh,
Directed by Morgan Freeman.
What?
Morgan J. Freeman. Which I was like, I
okay.
know that Morgan J. Freeman is an executive producer on like the Teen Mom show and like all
Oh,
of
shit.
that, like
That's where you know
16 and
it's
pregnant. Like, yes, because that name is the first name I think that pops up at the end of one of those episodes. Would you buy the soundtrack or score? Doesn't really have a score, has a soundtrack.
Absolutely. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely
I've
the
been
soundtrack.
listening to the soundtrack since watching it again.
Oh, certainly. It's a good one. It's worth it, I'd say for sure. That's a lot of bangers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything action figure worthy?
Yeah, I would take him in the raincoat with the axe. I'd take him naked with the
Totally.
chainsaw, especially if it came with those man hams,
Mm-hmm.
which it would have to, right?
Presumably it would. Yeah, those are all great options. Any version of him
Oh yeah.
is
I
all
agree.
pretty good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
And what merch or prop would you want from the film?
The business cards.
Ooh, all their business cards.
All
Frame
the
them.
business cards would be great.
Like
yeah.
it.
I'd get his Walkman.
Ooh, yeah.
Like
That's
what?
good.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it would be a fun one.
I'll take the axe.
Oh, axe is a good
nice
one
little
too.
axe he's got there, and the chainsaw.
I'll take that Huey Lewis CD. 4. Oh, we didn't talk about how at one point Willem Dafoe's like, Huey Lewis, you know them?
Oh,
And
yeah.
like that's a whole like moment of like, holy fuck.
He's like, no.
It's like no.
Don't really like
I do
them.
wonder if any of the detective stuff at all was real now.
Well, Gene seems to think it was.
Yeah, I
She
think that
interacted
I
with
think
him, right?
the detective shit was real. I think that he was actually in London because there was like someone confirmed that he was there, but it was like a little unreliable,
Right.
which is also adding to the humor and confusion that everyone confuses everyone for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, well, then, yeah. So then maybe Paul Allen wasn't in London. The lawyer could have been confusing someone else as Paul Allen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's just the other layer to
Exactly.
this movie. Everyone is confused with everyone else. So
Makes
everyone
it
is
harder to
unreliable.
establish What? Yeah.
Everyone's unreliable and everyone is interchangeable.
Exactly. All right. What is promotional popcorn bucket?
The head in the fridge.
Fridge head.
Mhm.
That is tough.
I don't know what screams.
I would. Oh my god, no! It would be a popcorn bucket that has like a little like rain jacket that you could put on top of it to cover you
There
from
you
butter.
go. Perfect. You throwing anything at the screen? Finish it up with that.
Huey Lewis and the new CDs, empty CD cases every time he brings
all
up
the
music.
different-
Yeah.
Yeah, music.
Yeah,
All the different
Mixtapes.
bands, yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
Sets. Yeah, that'd be good. All right. Let's go
Blood.
ahead. Blood. Lots of blood. Let's jump in over to our ratings.
I only want your fingers.
Should we all like cut our fingers open and bleed on it?
Can you wrap your fingers around these?
I'll take a board burger and a side of Jason's fingers.
Show them.
It's now time to pull out our axes and chainsaws as we rate this film on our Chuddle scale. On this show, we like to use our subjective rating scale of 0 to 5 fingers. Each cut off finger adds to the score, with more fingers equaling a higher score. engaging, sticky, t-shirtable, cockles, rewatchable. Those are our categories. And we start with our ratings. I'm going to jump over to Ross. Sam, you're going to follow it up. I'm going to clean us up on this one here.
All right. Engaging. Honestly, engaging is going to get a 1. I think even like after first viewing and just trying to fit, like to me, it's just the figuring out, even to this day, where it's like, I don't know what is real, not real. Well, like I'm fully engaged every time I watch this. Sticky is also going to get a 1. I mean, like there are just beyond iconic scenes in this movie that, I mean, like shit, I reference like just quotes from this movie, like it, yeah, beyond sticky, like triple decker peanut butter sandwich level of stickiness going on. T-shirtable is kind of a tough one because like there's some real crazy shit in this movie. I just don't know if I don't know.
If it was
it's one of those weird ones.
hams.
Just man hams? Oh, well, then the t-shirt's going to get a 1. No, I think t-shirts is going to get... No, t-shirt's going to get a 0.5 because I feel that like... I like the poster's iconic, but I don't know if I'd want the poster on a t-shirt. It's just one of those movies where I do enjoy it, but just like it has to be the right shirt. It has to be the right flavor.
Sure.
And I feel like that it would be good. Cockles is going to get... I think Cockles is going to get... I originally had it at a 0.5. I think Cockles is going to get a 0.75 for me because viewing it with such big time gaps, because I think the last time I had actually viewed this was like, God, maybe 8 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. And like shit hits, like the satire and the humor now is fucking way funnier than previously watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel that like it hits a completely different chord, specifically just everybody's an asshat in this movie, and that's kind of the point. And I think that that's what makes a lot of this way funnier for me. So like the cockles just kind of like it revved it up this time around. And rewatchable, it sounds weird. Obviously the last time I saw this was like close to 8 years ago, but I'm gonna give rewatchable a 0.5, and that might switch to a 0.75 later on down the road, because I think the only reason I hadn't seen it for so long is because I watched it so many fucking times between 2000. You know what I mean? Like I watched this like just a stupid amount of fucking times, and I just got burnt out on it, and I just had to take a break from it. But then that's what I love about you guys, and that's what I love about this podcast, is that sometimes like we get these movies where I'm like, God, I haven't seen that in a while. Why haven't I seen that in a while? And then it's just fresh for me. So yeah, I would say 0.5.
Dope. That gives you a 3.75 out of 5.
Ooh,
How's
man,
that feel?
I want to, you know what? Fuck it. Let's give rewatchable 0.75 because I want to be a 4 on this one.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool,
Voila.
cool.
You are at a 4.
You at the 4.
Perfect.
All right, Sam.
That's me. Engaging, I'm going to give a 0.75. Because even though it can be engaging, I also feel like it's something you can have on in the background, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to be watching it to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I found myself drifting, but whatever. 0.75. Sticky, I'm going to give a full 1. I agree. It's been, I haven't seen it probably maybe when we lived together, if not before then. I don't know if we would have watched it together, but like 2008 or before. So it's been a long fucking time since I've seen it. But I had watched it a ton and pretty much remembered everything. It's just I remembered it differently. You know what I mean? It just hits differently. You don't remember the tone. I didn't, at least. There's more story and scenes. T-shirtable, I'll probably do 0.5 as well. I could see getting 1. I'm not itching for 1, but if there was one that was super cool, I would get it. Cockles will be 0.75. Is that right? Actually, I think it's 1. I think in my head, I thought of them not being as high as they actually are, revisiting it. I think part of it was not only was it just a certain age and group for watching this movie, but then became such a popular thing. It's one of those things that like, well, now it's so popular I don't like it anymore type of thing, maybe.
Totally.
And then rewatchable, I'm going to do 0.5. I'm happy I revisited it because I like it more than I thought I did. I think I somehow turned myself off from it in a way. I'm not sure I'm ready to give it a 4, so 3.75 feels right for me.
Okay. Cool. Engaging. I will go ahead and probably give that. Yeah, I'll give it the full 1. I'm pretty engaged through it. Yeah, I agree that it is. You don't need to be engaged in it, but I certainly am. Sticky, I'll give it a 1 as well. I think it's certainly held up in terms of remembering from it. Tonal things, I've certainly adjusted on how I felt watching it this time around, but I think it holds up with that. T-shirt, well, I'll agree with the 0.5s. I think that's a pretty good place to put it. Like, it'd have to be the perfect kind of shirt. I don't have a problem wearing it, but I'm not itching to wear one.
Totally.
Cockles, yeah, I think I'll give it a 1 as well. I do enjoy what's going on with it. And then rewatchable, that's tough. Watchable, rewatchable, it seems like it would be higher, so I'm going to actually give it probably the 0.75, just including in that watchable aspect to it. And that gives it a 4.25, which is a lot higher than I thought I was going to come out on. But I did enjoy these watch throughs of it, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And that takes us to figuring out what the club had to say.
The club had a lot to say.
No, they didn't really.
People that contributed had a lot to say, right?
Coming over first, we have Travis Maxwell Boone, the Witch Doctor of Doom. He says, engaging 1, the story and performances pull me in every time I watch the film. Sticky 1, I remember damn near the whole movie and think of the scenes more often than a lot of other films. T-shirtable 1, I wouldn't necessarily want the poster on a tee, but maybe Patrick Bateman in his bloody tarp suit listening to Huey Lewis, or him doing some crunches while the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre plays out on the TV next to him. Cockles 1, I have to return some videotapes. Rewatchable 1, I've watched it many times and owe it a rewatch soon. It's memorable and deep and funny and just plain fun. 5 out of 5. Throwing business cards, chainsaws, Huey Lewis CDs, and a reservation to Dorsia at the screen. Trevor, the Witchmaster of Pleasure, agrees as well. It's got some cool stuff. The guy's pretty whack, all up in people's Kool-Aids over a car and stuff. What a bummer. Engaging 1, movie did a good job of keeping me in it. Sticky 1. I mean, some people might sit here and talk about the blood and some other stuff. That mirror scene, gold. All the stick. T-shirtable, easy 1, mirror scene, plastic trench coat image, face image. There's a ton of memes and many could go on a shirt. Cockles 1, it tickled my cockles well. At the time I watched it, it was the type of movie I hadn't quite seen yet. Rewatchable 1, yeah, I'd watch it every year for sure. Maybe more if I was feeling that type of movie. Classic movie. I'm full on going gambit with cards at the theater, 5 out of 5. Ricky Prejean, the Witchy Cajun, says, I never understood why people treat this one like a masterpiece. Sure, it's good, it's fun, it's got top tier performances, killer score and soundtrack gore and sexy times, but it's missing something detrimental, in my opinion. Allow me to explain why you are hearing a Chuddleman read this out loud are so blatantly wrong. Engaging 1, the movie keeps your attention better than a bedside mirror during a fetishy threesome. Sticky 1, you'll always remember the film just like the first time you felt outclassed by a colleague's business card. T-shirtable 0.5, I could see some cool designs, but honestly until they make the clear raincoat with Jared Leto's blood on it, I don't feel compelled to purchase. Rewatchable 0, that's a big that's right, a big goose egg. I think he'll be more productive sniffing coke in the toilet with coworkers than rewatch, because there's no rewatch value there. Cockles 0.5. If this is what rocks your socks, so be it, but I'd rather work out the mathematics and mechanical requirements to keep a chainsaw running while the trigger isn't engaged and drop it onto frantic fleeing women.
That's where it was. That's where his critique was.
Personally, all in all, I give this out of 3 out of 5. Okay, well, that's a lie. It's a 5 out of 5. Hope you don't cringe too hard.
You know, I'm only 0.25 higher, or I guess 0.75 higher than the fake score. Never mind.
And Tiger Snake Kate didn't get a rating in time, but she said, I enjoyed this and thought Christian Bale was perfect as Patrick Bateman, but isn't something that I would watch a lot. So thank you guys for your ratings. Remember, everyone, you can jump into our Discord and leave your thoughts and ratings on the film and get those read on the show. Please send them in. We'd love to read them.
That is correct.
How does this compare to other movies in the Goo Book? Well, the club gave it a fucking solid 5 with all the actual ratings that we got in. So there was some other fun banter about it, but nothing else besides that. With all of ours together, this does put it into the Chuddle Club crypt. It gets it a 4 and sits it there.
Oh shit!
It right peters out. Great.
It averages, right in the middle.
So other things that sit at a 4: Final Destination 3, Extraordinary, My Bloody Valentine, Krampus, and VHS 94.
Wow. What a list.
Right below it at 3.8,
awesome
we have
list.
Freaky, We Are Still Here, Phantasm, Quarantine, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Blair Witch Project, Creep Show, a lot in the 3.8s. And right above it, we only have one at 4.1, and that's Night Killer.
God, I love our Chuddle scale. I love our Chuddle scale so
better
much.
than American Psycho, according to Chuddle the Pod.
You heard it here first.
Can't argue with the scale. Hey, everyone, thanks for fucking listening to that. This concludes the gathering of the Chuddle the Pod Movie Club for tonight. As it is written, where there are 2 or 3 gathered, so shall the spirit of community dwell among them. You, dear club members, are the heart and soul of this assembly. Jump into the Discord and continue that community with us and other fellow Chuddle Club members, past guests, all sorts of fun stuff. The patrons have their special community in there as well. Don't forget to follow at Chuddle the Ross on Instagram. See what he is artsing around with, what he is tattooing, what kind of sheets of cool flash art and prints that he's making, and more importantly, selling is something that you can go out there and buy right now from our man Ross.
That's true.
RossPurvis.BigCartel.com. Come on down.
Get up in it. And don't forget,
Get up in it.
Sam and Ross. No, don't forget Sam and Ross. Just don't forget them. But myself and Sam, we're on Letterboxd. At Chuddle the Sam, at Chuddle the Bryan with a Y. Get at us to see what we're watching. Follow us. We'll follow you back. And at Chuddle the Pod on Instagram for everything up to date with Chuddle the Pod. Don't forget, reach out to us, rate and review us, spread the good word to all the other people out there, and until next time, avoid the time loop.